Joined by Doug Pelfrey and Richard Skinner from Local12.com. Bengals start the season 2-0. Lots of positives to take out of this game, but some downside as well. Some penalties, some turnovers. Your assessment of the win today?
It was a good win because there were mistakes, and every time a mistake was made, something good would happen on the other side of it. I think the other part, too, is you've got a lot of room for growth, and Marvin Lewis and a lot of players talked about that after the game. And you could always say that sounds cliche-ish, but I don't think it is, because I think they've left points, they've left plays out on that football field that if they clean up and they start to make is going to come in very, very handy down the road.
To me, I think the story of the day was the defensive line and the pressure that we created all day. To me, it made the entire defense just better. I think, from our DBs played nice. I think our linebackers were in on a lot of tackles. But to me, I think they had the same effect that Eifert had last week against the Raiders. I think they made everybody else better.
When the D-line plays like it did today, I talked to Vinny Ray after the game, linebackers have a little more room for error. DBs certainly have that kind of situation. It really is a trickle-down effect.
Well, it's a trickle-down effect across that line, too. I mean, Geno Atkins just absolutely killed the middle of that football field. And then it allows Dunlap freedom to roam. It allowed Gilberry to get a sack. Chris Carter came off the edge on a play that actually led to that Gilberry sack. If Geno does that, and you didn't get a chance to see him a couple, 3 years ago, but when he was healthy, Brad, he was so good and so disruptive. You've really seen that the first two games, especially today.
And getting back to that topic about giving themselves a little cushion in that fourth quarter, they have the touchdown call back, but 4 plays later, Dalton to Eifert. They're playing with house money right now, and I think they can only get better. You look at that as upside as opposed to a downside?
Without a doubt. I think part of this team's, the benefit to them being together here for a while is they do have the opportunity to make mistakes and recover for each other. And I think, like you said, they had the chance to fold. They didn't. They stepped up. I think you're going to see that in Jeremy Hill right now. He's been so good all last year. He struggled today. How is he going to respond? It's only, you're going to have things that go good and go bad throughout your career, as well as this team had going through this game. It's how you respond.
And you saw him after the game. I mean, he stood in front of his locker and took questions, was very honest about it. He said, this is on me. I got to fix this. I got to keep grinding. I'll get over this somehow. He said, hey, this is an issue. There's no doubt about it. But I thought that was pretty mature for a second-year guy going through really his first spout of adversity.
And a lot of guys talking about, hey, we're deep.
Right,
we can have an off day, and we got a guy behind us. Talking about the poll question tonight, your biggest takeaway from this win, defensive line, the running back situation, and also lots of weapons on offense now. Andy Dalton at 9 different targets today. That's good stuff.
Those are all good choices. I'm going to go with the weapons as much as I like the line, because you had A.J. Green catching a touchdown, you had Marvin Jones catching a touchdown, and you had Tyler Eifert catching a touchdown. Then you had Gio Bernard coming in for Jeremy Hill, fumbling the football. He rushes for 123 yards. That's just so many different ways you can go, and they almost caught Mohamed Sanu on another touchdown pass. That would have been 4 different guys with touchdown receptions in the game today. It's just a lot of weapons to choose from.
I'm going to go with the defensive line just for the exact reasons that he just said on offense, because on offense, it's so fun to watch this offense. They have so many weapons. I think the Eifert makes so many opportunities available. They were bracketing him today, so it just made opportunities for, like you said, A.J. Green and for guys like that to step up. I think our defensive line made our entire defense better. They're the ones who responded. They're the ones who won the game for me, in my opinion, today, so I'm going to go with the defensive line.
Getting back to running back situation against the Ravens next week, do you still feature Jeremy Hill as your lead back, or is that a situation where you kind of feel it out and find out who's hot that day?
I think Jeremy still is the #1 guy, just because he's the guy, even though Gio, to his credit, he had 20 carries today. He'd only been over that amount one time in his career prior to that. I mean, he's a guy usually 12 to 15 touches is the maximum. I think you go back to Jeremy Hill. Today was a perfect day to say it wasn't your day. We're not trusting you with the football today. He's on a short leash next week. If he fumbles it again, you go back to Giovanni Bernard. But I think Jeremy Hill is still your guy. He's got too much ability not to be.
He's my guy, because I think as I look at this team, you have to have a guy who can grind it. I don't think Gio can stand an entire season. I look at
a game here and there, yes.
Right. Jeremy Hill, I think he did his role today.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you'd think he's going to be that guy out of the backfield. At the same time, he did what the team needed. That's why we're 2-0 offensively. But Jeremy Hill's going to be that guy that continually runs downhill, that's going to bang you, that when he gets 20, 25 carries is going to get stronger as the game goes along.
Next up at the 0-2 Ravens. I'll see you there. Doug, thanks for stopping by. Good stuff as always.
Thanks.